Hey, you! All you useless YouTube watchers, listen up! So what it that it's Star Wars Day. Big friggin' deal. This week it's for me. I am the mighty Motormaster. I am invincible. And I take no glip from any of ya. All you pathetic losers, get up and watch something real, like me. Hey, let that guy in here. I find your lack of faith disturbing. It's also anti-bullying day. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. Today is May the 4th, Star Wars Day, so everybody look forward to the new Star Wars stuff or the new Star Wars movie at the end of the month. It is also by the decree of the UN in most countries that today is also International Anti-Bullying Day. So today, in honor of that, we're going to take a look at the biggest bully in all of the Transformers lore, the 1986 Stunticon leader, Motormaster. Motormaster and the Stunticons were released in 1986. They would also be available in 1987. He would be discontinued in 1988, and we would not get a replacement for him. Motormaster, in all forms of the lore, is a bully. Mainly it comes from the fact that his stats for his strength and endurance are off the charts, which makes him nearly invincible as a Transformer. However, he uses that to intimidate his mentally deranged troops into making them more efficient killers. The only downside to this notion of his way of leading them is the fact that it also breeds about a lot of resentment towards him by the other Stunticons. In fact, it gets so bad that in their unified form of Menasor, they are often known to squabble at any orders given to them, thus making Menasor a very dangerous component not only to themselves, but to the Decepticons as well as the Autobots, because when Menasor gets confused by all the voices, he tends to lash out at anything and anyone. So that makes him the most dangerous combiner, and thus this guy here is the root cause of that problem. Let's take a look here at Motormaster. And we'll start by taking a look at a lot of his articulation. And unlike many of the other combiner leaders, it's about on par, but he still comes off a little bit shorter due to the way they make his legs come out. You can see you can rotate the arm just about all the way. Let's take the weapon out. And the arm fully rotates at the shoulder. And he does have a joint here at the hip, so you can bring his legs out for a side kick of some sort. And if need be, even though it's more used for the transformation, there is a joint there at the ankle, but it's more for transforming him than for any sort of legitimate pose. Now let's take a look at transforming Motormaster, and of course, first of all, we have to remove him of his weapons. The gun and the sword. Alright, to transform Motormaster, first thing you're going to do is bend his legs out to the sides, like so, and you'll also fold down the truck cabs of his feet. Like that, just put them in, lock them into place. Then at the hip, you're going to get this black piece to move so that they're straight forward. Connect the truck cab together. and then just slide it all against the body. Then next, you're going to take the chest panel here, just pop it up and fold it over and snap it into place. May have to adjust the leg piece bits a little bit to get it to connect. And lastly, you'll straighten the arms out, push them in a bit, and then fold the arms onto the top. And there is Motormaster's alternate mode. He's a semi-truck. More specifically, he is a Kenworth K1000 Aerodyne rig, and he does look pretty close to one. Because I will tell you that there is a fan out there that does own the cab portion here and has painted it up with some Decepticon logos and such. The grill on that one's also modified to have a small Decepticon symbol on there. And they've toured around at various comic book shows. Google search Motormaster, and you should find information on where Motormaster may be turning up next. And if you've seen the original toy and go see this, you will see just how close the real thing looks to the toy. The only downside is the real one does not have the trailer, which is understandable. That'd be expensive, but hey, just the chance to see one fan's dream of converting one of these into looking and posing like a Transformer, that's something. How does Motormaster roll here on the table? He rolls pretty good, surprisingly. And I say surprisingly because I'm going to show you up close here the wheels. More specifically, the back wheels for the truck. These wheels are fake. They do not move at all. I mean, these up here at the front, they rotate, and the dual set here in the back rotates, but this set here does not. So that's a bit of a disappointment, and also, because of the way the toy is built, it is statically locked, so you can't do a realistic turn with the truck and the trailer. They will always go in a straight line. That's how he turns. So, not really all that impressive. Now, to go along with it, Motormaster, like many of the other combiner leaders at that time, does have a ramp mode. Turn him into ramp mode, it's pretty simple. You take the arms up here, you'll fold them out like so. But then you're going to take them out again, popping out the side panels they're connected to, fold them down flat. And then this portion in here, just raise up, fold it all the way out. And then of course you can stick on the included roller car, or even a Micromaster if you choose, and there you go. That's the ramp mode. Now you can also consult my video for Triptychon, and you'll see the alteration you do to this to get this ramp unit to attach to Triptychon. When it's like that, it's not too bad. It at least has some useful purpose when it's attached like that. Here, by itself, it doesn't look right. I mean, I don't know if they were trying to go for the Optimus Prime trailer look with it or what they were trying to do, but it really just, it doesn't come out that great. I mean, what do you think, folks? What kind of look do you think they're trying to go for here? Now we'll take a moment and go over Motormaster's loose parts. We'll start here with his gun. The instructions refer to this as a cyclone gun. So evidently it generates wind tunnels or something. It's made of some hard plastic, but some of it is rather thin, so can be broken, especially along the barrel here, and sometimes this back portion here is broken off. Otherwise, it's nothing really much to get excited over. Then we have the other weapon. The instructions refer to as his ionizer sword, which is kind of impressive looking. It's all in chrome, so again, if you're fussy about the look of the chrome on it, you're going to want to be careful on loose samples. And then we have what the instructions refer to as his roller car. Again, probably a cheap way of trying to do an Optimus Prime copy, but comes off being worse because there's really nothing to determine which is the front and which is the back. Get you a look here at the top. The black color makes it really hard to tell a lot of it. As you can probably see, I'm hoping the camera's catching some of this, is that it looks exactly the same forward and backwards, so you got no way of knowing which way is front, which way is back. So on the underside, it's hollow, save for these two holes where it connects and forms the chest panel on Menasor. Speaking of Menasor, this is the waist piece for Menasor. It's listed in the instructions as a blast deflector. Again, the backside you can see it's hollow. The thing you'll have to watch out for are all these tabs, since they are on thin plastic. They are decently reinforced, but you still want to check them out for stress wear or breakage. And we also got these down in front. We got the foot stands. This is the right foot stand. As you can see, it's got the R engraved on the front there. Nothing really on the back side. And then you got the left one, and it has the L engraved in there, and again, nothing on the back side. We got fists. This would be the right fist. Nothing really on the inside. The only way you can tell it's the right one is due to the placement of the thumb. I say thumb, but it's kind of quote-unquote thumb. Up there. It's the right fist. And of course, for the sake of showing it off and dropping it on the floor, left fist. And then lastly, we have the Menasor head. Of course, the Menasor head is basically just a mask that goes over Motormaster's face. And of course, for those of you who did not see my Menasor video review from December, please do check out my playlists to find it. There is a variant to the Menasor face. This is the early release, which had the red paint in the eyes. The later release would go cheap, and they would have no paint in the eyes. So, something to watch out for when you're buying a loose Motormaster face. When you're buying a loose face from Menasor, kind of got a choice on how you want the head to look, with eyes or without eyes. Rather strange, but it is what it is. Okay, moving right along now, we'll take a look at Motormaster's instructions. These are a rather used set of instructions, but they're at least intact, so As I can probably attest to you, these are the exact instructions my brother had from the original toy. Surprised they've held up this long. As you can see, it goes through how to turn him into the robot. They don't bother putting the sword in his hand, but a lot of other pictures do show him with the sword as well, so might as well hold on to it. And now we start. Shows the short instructions for making his ramp mode. And we go to the back side, where you've got how to put on the stickers, collect your robot points, how to read your tech spec, and of course, how to use the rub sign. Then you get a nice big spread for how to make Menasor. Pretty nice to see that they went big on that. Most of the others aren't so lucky, they don't get it that large. Now, before we go on to other things, we got a bonus for you. We have this set of instructions for the European Classics that would have been released a few years later after he was discontinued in the American market. These are in a dual language. I would guess that this is probably French and German. And as you can see, just with having seen the other one, nothing is really changed. Other than a lighter shade of purple. More or less goes in the exact same order. It's only here on the back side that we get some difference. Since you have the stickers up here, and then down here we just go to reading the tech spec. There's no robot point mention, and there's nothing there for the rub sign. And then you get the same large spread here for how to build Menasor. So, nice, interesting thing to look at. Get that out of the way. Again, thanks to my brother for that, but we got another bonus to go along with this review of Menasor. We actually have the box. My brother managed to get this box, but we got, that's not all the fun we got. Thanks to some other wheeling and dealing, my brother also managed to get the European Classics box as well. So, talk about a nice little treat here. As you can see, they're more or less very similar. The drawings are the same. Well, let's take a good look at them and have a look-see. Top pictures here, as we pan it across, they are both the same. It shows the same stuff down here on the bottom, and the same stuff on the sides, except again the purple on the newer one appears to be a shade darker on the gun versus how it is over there. Turn it around to the back side and we can start really seeing some differences. As you can see, the original American one had the 1986 mural, which heavily featured the combiners and the the triple changers, and of course the two cities. He got a nice thing here to show off all the Stunticons, and he was worth 2 robot points. For the European box, they're using a Micromasters mural, which would have been about from 1988. 88 or 89. No, 89. That would have been 89. That was when the Micromasters came out. It was 89, pardon me. Over here you got the same picture of all 5 Stunticons. And of course they had this changed over to be this kind of a grid instead of how the American one was. And then over here, this would have been where the robot points were, and the previous owner obviously removed them. But there we go. For this, we'll switch back to the American one to show off the tech spec. It's done up in purple to show he's a Decepticon. It lists him as a Decepticon. In reality, it really should have said Stunticon. It gives his name as Motormaster. His function is Stunticon Leader. And his motto is, "These wheels are made for crushing." No one on the road is colder and crueler. Shows no mercy to Autobots who happen to be on the highway with him. Seeks to destroy Optimus Prime so he can claim to be king of the road. Can survive a collision with anyone except Optimus Prime. Reaches a top speed of 140 miles per hour and can shatter a 20-foot thick concrete block. Uses a 400 mile per hour wind-producing cyclone gun. Forms robot Menasor with fellow Stunticons. So it's kind of interesting how they play up a supposed rivalry between Motormaster and Optimus Prime. I mean, the only thing the two of them really share in common is that they are both semi-trucks. The lore gets somewhat confusing in this because, as you saw here on the tech spec bio, it claims he can survive a collision with anyone but Prime, but the More Than Meets the Eye guidebooks seems to omit that, and Motormaster believes he can survive a collision with anyone. It doesn't mention that Optimus could crush him in a collision. So, rather interesting. Let's get Optimus out of the way here and go back to the tech spec. As we lay this over the grid, let's take a look at what it has to say about his stats. It gives his strength as 9, his intelligence is 6, his speed is 5, his endurance is 10, his rank is 7, his courage is 9, his firepower is 7, and his skill is a dismal 4. So he's very powerful, but he is very slow, and his leadership skills are severely lacking. And to show off a comparison, those stats are exactly the same on the European Classics box. So that didn't change, and neither, of course, did the text on his bio. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of him? Motormaster, unfortunately, is a very poor toy. I hate to say it to some of you out there who might be a fan of this toy, but unfortunately, Motormaster has a lot working against him than he does have working for him. The robot mode is pretty generic, and unfortunately, the body is extremely boxy. So that hurts his appearance overall in general. And as I also stated in my Menasor review, it also hurts Menasor because of how boxy looking Motormaster is here. I mean, some other versions of the toy have corrected this problem. The Kabaya version, as you saw from my poll back in January, showed that they made some improvements to the toy with just moving the head on top would at least alleviate some of the boxy lookingness. His truck mode, yep, that's acceptable. It's pretty good looking. The only downside to it is I really am not a fan of the stuck wheels. I mean, biggest thing about the fact that the wheels don't move down here is the fact that it makes it a little harder to scoot him along. But of course, then again, we'd probably have more fun if the wheels did work. But as you can see, he rolls pretty good, even with those wheels not being functional in robot mode. It just seems like that was a cost-cutting, cheap method, you know? And that, unfortunately, works against him on that. The ramp mode, again, that looks silly and ridiculous. I mean, it only looks half decent when it's mounted with Triptychon, but when you look at the whole thing as a whole, when he's mounted to Triptychon, it comes off as not too bad. But by itself, it just looks weird and ridiculous. The biggest thing that also goes against Motormaster is how he's depicted in the lore. Motormaster is a bully, hands down. He knows all about the fears and weaknesses of the troops under his command. And instead of being a semi-decent leader and trying to work them around those deficits that they have, he instead provokes them. He's known to tell Breakdown that everything's looking at him to stir him up into a frenzy. He further depresses Dead End by making fun of his constant desire to look good even in a dead state. He loves to point out to Dragstrip of his own superiority over him. And he loves to also order everyone to be quiet so it'll send Wild Rider into an uncontrollable frenzy. Now, while these might be useful effects in battle as a means to motivate, as even in the modern military there is some bullying done, but a lot of that is more done during boot camp to try to weed out the ones that are not going to be able to handle the pressures of military life. But any soldier knows angered and enraged troops on the battlefield is not going to make them effective in the long term. In the short term, the anger can probably be directed at the enemy and get your troops to be somewhat more efficient. But however, it also breeds and instills the potential for mutiny. And it also, with the anger not being generally directed in the right places, it can also mean that their troops will miss critical things for their mission or overlook soldiers who might be playing dead just to wait for them to pass by and shoot them in the backside. So, overall, Motormaster is a pretty pathetic toy overall. So unfortunately, he's going to go on the bottom tier, folks. I hate to say it to some of you who are fans of Motormaster, but unfortunately, there is just nothing really to save this toy from the bottom tier. And that concludes my review of the Generation 1 Decepticon Stunticon Leader Motormaster. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well to hit that subscribe button. And please also consider sharing your thoughts of Motormaster in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701, reminding all of you to stamp out bullying. And also, I will catch you all later with another Generation 1 Transformer review, and may the Force be with you.